Good evening, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, and thank you all for taking some time out of your afternoon to come and visit with Greg and I as we talk about the price is right. Just like the game show, they say the price is right, and that's what we need in business if we hope to sell our products. But as entrepreneurs, and maybe if you haven't had much experience in pricing your products or your services, maybe a little bit of instructions might help you along and help you get started faster and maybe make it a little bit more money. We're going to be talking today really focusing on how to set your prices for your products and services. And since competition is a big part of your competition, is about how to stay on top of that as well. So try to give you just a bucket load of good information today to try to help you in your business. This is a milepost day for me. I'm Steve Carver. I see that most of you on that's visiting with us today have been in my webinars before, but we've got looks like 3 new folks. So I'm glad to meet you and appreciate you coming on board. I'm over in Dunn, North Carolina, and this is my presentation number 1100. 1,100 times have I been honored and privileged to teach classes for entrepreneurs. So it's a big day for me. I'm glad to get to that milepost, and I appreciate y'all being with me on my journey, and I'm on a journey, no doubt, and let me be a part of your journey into entrepreneurship to move forward. Let me say to you right up front, I am not a lawyer and definitely not a CPA. I'm just a 76-year-old young fella that's been in business since I was 12 years old when my daddy told me it was time to go to work, and have been doing it ever since. Did a lot of things right, did a lot of things wrong. Hopefully I learned a little bit from those lessons, and we'll be able to share with you those learning experiences and save you from having to maybe fall in a pitfall or have some unexpected expenses or surprises that you didn't want to have. So that's what we're all about today. But my first piece of advice to you will always be, before you make a major decision that's going to affect the security of your business, of course, of your family, of your income, it's a good idea to get a second and even a third opinion from people who know what they're talking about. I'm not talking about the sea lawyers down at the cafe, the folks that know everything about everything. I'm talking about when you're getting your small business up and running, find someone you can talk to. The small business centers are excellent places to go. The directors there are really dedicated to your success and for you to get the information you need, and they got the resources to bring it. We're sponsored today by the Small Business Center at Lenoir County. They're in Kinston with Greg Hannibal is our host. And thank you so much, Greg, for doing this. His phone number is 252-522-8021, and he'd appreciate a call, have you come in and talk about your business. There'll be no charge for the service, and it'd be just like you having a free consultant to help you. So give that serious consideration to get in touch with Greg. He's a good-looking guy and does a great job, and I've been working for him for a long time, so he's my boss, no doubt. He's got a special request, and I'll pass it on to you. After these webinars are over, either this afternoon or tomorrow, you'll get an email with a survey on how you like the presentation, what you thought of my presentation, and the content, and a chance to tell a little bit about yourself and maybe what type of webinars or seminars you'd like to see in the future. It's important that you fill this out. It won't take you but a minute, and so please do it. We'd certainly appreciate it. Training schedules right now, we're near the end of our semester year, so to speak. So we're talking about prices today, and on Monday, we'll be working with the folks over in Brunswick County at 5 p.m. to talk about how to turn your hobby into a business. So you might want to tune into that if you have an interest in getting a little side hustle started with a hobby that you're doing. And then on January the 11th, we'll start coming back full time with steady courses. And starting the 11th, I'll mention this to you, we'll have 7 consecutive Thursday nights that is a 14-hour course, actually, that you can get graduations and some completion certificates, where we'll go over about 200 or 300 items that will really make a difference in helping an entrepreneur just getting started in the business world learn so much from business planning and marketing and sales and negotiating and how to find customers and on and on and on. So if you have an interest in that, that might be a great New Year's resolution for you. So give that some thought. And if I've got your email, I'll be sending you a reminder about it.
Okay, I got to record.
My job is to help motivate folks and to give you information that'll help you get to the next step. And I'll do that very forcefully as much as I can. And if indeed it seems like I'm stepping on your toes, I apologize right now for doing that. Don't mean to do it. I just want to help you get to that next step, because it's so easy to procrastinate in today's world. And so that's my job. But I want to tell you what I want your job to be is to find the endurance to stay in this game. Staying in the game is the success of entrepreneurship, because the longer that you stay in and the more you learn by doing, the better you're going to get at running your business. And so just hang in there. There are times that we need to fold them, I know that, but stay in the game as long as you can. Find that endurance. Let's move on talking about pricing. And pricing is not a black and white question. It's never it's got to be this or it's got to be that situation. And I'll use the term today, take it or leave it, which kind of makes everything black and white the way your customer sees it. If you're pricing yourself and your products and your services in a way that the customer feels like, well, this is the price, I can take it or leave it. If you're doing that to yourself and to your marketing, you're inviting the customer to keep on shopping and go somewhere else and spend their money. They may come back to you and do business, but it would be only because you were cheaper than everyone else. So you have to give the customer a reason to talk to you, so you'll be able to explain why your price is better, why you've got a better value, why you're worth a little bit more money, and to show that you have a real interest in talking with them and creating a relationship. So let's not make pricing a black and white situation ever, because it will hurt you. It is a moving target, and things change with pricing daily sometimes, even with the most simple things. So we have to stay on top of it. I've used this example in this webinar. I've used it before. Maybe you've visited before and seen me do it. I love a salad bar, and I love a salad bar that's got a lot of choices. You know, I like the peppers, and I even like sardines at a salad bar. Some people may think that's awful, and smoked oysters and all kinds of veggies and pastas and such as that. And I left everything else out except the green stuff, which does you good, and I like that as well. Pricing for entrepreneurs, for me at least, and it works for me, and hopefully I don't excite you about this too, as we're pricing our products and services across the board with our entire menu of what we're offering, it's a good idea to offer your prices in a different way. One way for this product, another way for that product, another strategy for your last product. And today, I'm going to share with you, and you've seen all of these. You've seen them when you go to the store. Just a trip to the grocery store, you'll see about everything we talk about today. But what we haven't done before today is to bring this information into our structure pricing planning, and that's why we want to do it. So you'll see when we get in here what I'm talking about. But offering different strategies all throughout your product line to keep the customers interested. So pricing has a lot to do with the customer's got to want to come and see you. And customers will be shopping for different reasons and have different things on their mind from time to time. There's two basic things that we all buy. We buy things that we want, and we buy things that we need. And on one day we may want something, and if we've got the money to pay for it and we see it and we think it's a reasonable price, we'll go ahead and buy it. Impulse. Not a lot of planning. when we actually pull the trigger on that purchase. But things that we need, bread, biscuits, a spare part for our car, a new lawnmower, those are things that we may need. And for things that we need, we have thought about it a while, and we know where we can go get the best price. It may not be the cheapest price, but we can get the most value for it because we will have thought about it. So how does that affect us as new business people, new entrepreneurs? Well, here's the way it works. We need to have in our menu of services and products different things that people can consider buying. And with these different profit centers is what we'll call them. A profit center is what you're doing in your business to make money. And with these different profit centers, we want a group of them that will probably be what people want, and then we want a profit center of what maybe they need. See what I'm saying? Now, I don't use one of our Academy members that's been attending our webinars recently and getting her own business started up. So I don't use, Annette is with us today, and she has just started a new business called Blessed Bookkeepers. She offer virtual bookkeeping services for entrepreneurs. So if y'all need this service, she might be some good person to talk to. She lives over in the Chicken area. But Annette might say, I've got a menu of my bookkeeping services, and I can offer you basic QuickBooks information on a monthly basis. One, I can set up, if you're a new business person, I can set you all up, do the whole process of getting your business into a QuickBooks program. Number two, I can offer you regular reports, graphs, and extra information to help you do better management. Three, I can provide you and keep, since I don't have your books, I don't have a list of your customers, I can put together a database for you and update it for you. Four, I can, if you want to do email and blast to get your information out to your customers, and you want me to handle that part of your marketing plan, I can do that. Five, and on and on and on. So what I would say to Annette is you need to break those things down, different services, so you'll have different prices depending on what the customer wants. You'll be able to give them as little or as much as.
Thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world.
Well, let's see. That's Greg coming in. We are getting some background noise here. I don't understand that. Give me just a moment, and I'll see if I can figure it out. So, next, with your pricing, you want to have the things that people want and the things that people need, and break them out. Consider what you're offering and see how that works out. Because you need some of each. Generally, in the business world, it's a good idea for you to consider that everything is negotiable. You may say that I don't have any wiggle room here, or I don't want to negotiate or hem and haw with my customers. I just want them to come in, see my price tag, pay me, and get on out of here. I understand that. That's the easy way. But it's also the way that may cost you a lot of business, because doing that is just like being at the state fair acting like I just want this customer's money one time. I don't really care if I ever see them again. I just want the business one time. But if your attitude and your way of thinking about pricing is everything's negotiable, that opens up a whole lot of new opportunities for not only this sale, but for additional sales. So try to get a mindset and work with me on this. Beware of the take it or leave it. Beware of it. I'll probably say that 50 times this afternoon, so just know that is trouble for you, and make sure that you're always checking yourself not to give that. Because if it is take it or leave it, that part about leave it, the customers will go and keep shopping, and therefore the chances are you won't ever see them again. And I'm a greedy son of a gun when it comes to cash flow, because and I'm in business too, just like you guys. In my little business, cash flow keeps me alive. And if I have a customer in my environment considering my product and they got money to spend, I consider that positive cash flow. But if they leave me and go somewhere else, I consider that negative cash flow. I don't cut myself any slack on that. So I want to do everything I can to take advantage of the customer when they come our way. And so how are we going to do this? Our objective today is for me to encourage you to set your prices high enough to offer ample margins for your business profits, to be able to discount so that you and the customer can find common ground, or you can excite them about taking advantage of the sale offer that you're doing, and to give you some negotiating room. The most common error that I've seen through the years when you start up business as entrepreneurs, you have priced your products and services too low. And you had no room to wiggle, and then if a customer did make you an offer and you felt like you had to take it, it was below where you needed to be to stay in business. So this is where I'm coming from this afternoon, so let's give it a chance to work. What we're going to do is talk about two basic things. One, selling products. And to do that, we have to build up to an advertised price, and I'll show you how to do that and how that works. Or number two, selling services or selling time for money. Now, I mentioned Annette earlier with her bookkeeping service. That is selling time for money. She's going to be charging folks according to how much time it takes her to look after their needs. However, in my business, selling farm equipment and implements that go behind tractors, I'm selling products. And whether I sell 50 products in 1 hour or no products in 1 hour, I'm still basing my pricing structure on my competition and the price of those individual products. But selling time for money gets to be a little bit more difficult. A little bit harder to explain, especially to a brand new business person. Of course, we don't have to, number one, realize what we're doing, what we think the value of our services is, find out what our competitors are charging. Whatever way you have to do it, you need to find out how much they're charging so you'll know at least if you're in the ballpark as you get started. But my basics for sharing this with you is you need to know that when you're looking at how much money you need to bring in to make your business plan work when you're selling time for money, it is all about the time that you are actually serving the customer, that you're actually working for them. So I hear lots of times with folks that are getting into business the first time, and I talk to them, how's it going? Are you making some money? How much time are you giving it? They say, Steve, I've got a lot to do. I'm real busy. I come to work early and I work hard. I've got everything straightened out here. Break for lunch, go to lunch, do this. Got my filing cabinets all in good order. Sending out some emails and doing some marketing work. But you know what? I've got a little bit of business with my customers, but they're not paying me enough to pay all my bills. Well, that's the way that works. When we're talking about the budgeting and the time for money is how many hours are you working actually for the customer that you can bill them for. So as you're building your business plan, you have to consider, I'm selling time for money, so I need to kind of work by appointments or certain times for certain jobs and build that in, so that I can book and bring in enough business to have a daily income that helps me every week end up with how much money I need. And we'll jump into that really strong. But I got to say you that I know you can work hard and spend a lot of time at your business, driving back and forth and going to the post office and doing some housekeeping and management duties. Takes up a lot of time. But that time doesn't count if you can't bill it to the customer. So there needs to be an awareness of what are you doing with your time, because often you're going to be better off to have a virtual assistant help you with a lot of things that's eating up your daily time and is not giving you time to go out and make sales, or not giving you time to go out and knock on doors or call on customers. That's an important thing that you need to think about. So let's say that your goal in your business where you're selling time for money is you want to make $1,000 a week. You want to have a weekly earning goal of $1,000 a week. And these numbers could be changed. I just pulled that one out of the air to show you what I need to do. So Edna, if you want to end up with $1,000 a week, and Candace, if you do too, then that means that you need to take in a whole lot more money than $1,000 a week from your customer. And entrepreneurs sometimes just forget that side, because if you want to make $1,000 a week, I don't say that in your particular business, and I'm guessing what it is, that probably you need to make $2,500 or $2,550 in sales if you want to end up with $1,000. Let's say your cost of doing business is about 50%. And then you've got some deductions that you may be paying in taxes. You may have some insurance that you need to pay out. So if you can bring in $2,550 a week, you can end up with $1,000. Now, this is the basic structure of what a business plan would look like when you're first getting started as an entrepreneur, and you're guessing and estimating what it'll be. But the point I want to make is most important is you determine that $1,000 a week. And that determination is what you would build your business plan around. If it had been $10,000 a week, that's up to you. But if we got to end up with $10,000 a week, then we'll do in reverse backtrack to see how much business we need to create totally, and that would basically say that we need to do $25,500 worth a week if the same percentage is applied here. What do I want you to remember from this slide? The money you need to end up with is not what you need to be charging the customer, because you've got your overhead and all your other expenses that need to be added on to that as you start planning your budget. Now, hours. We got to sell $2,550 a week. Now I'm going to ask you, are you doing this as a full-time job or a part-time job, or just when you can get around to it? Because guess what? If you're doing this full-time and you're working for those customers 40 hours a week, and of those 40 hours, you're going to get to spend 15 hours actually selling. That's realistic. I know that you can't go in and open up the door and expect that every minute of every day you're going to be making money with a customer. It just don't work that way. But we're going to say that if you're working 40 hours a week and spending 15 hours selling, then I can tell you that you need to generate $170 per hour the 15 hours that you're serving your customer. And if you do that, you'll make $2,500 in sales. But looking at the bottom of this, if you're going to be working 10 hours a week as a part-time or get around to it, and only 3 hours a week actually serving the customer, then we're going to notice you're going to need to generate $850 per hour to work that. Now, this lets us know what our possibilities are and the hard realization of how many hours you need to be serving that customer to reach your goals. And you say to me, Steve, I don't have that many hours that I can be doing this, because I've got a lot of other things going on. I mean, I'm a certified entrepreneur doing 5 or 6 things. I said, well, that's fine, and I'm proud of you, but something's got to happen. Either you got to be there making those sales, or you need to have employees doing it for you, or you need to have a really active website that's serving the customer through your website. And that's a wrinkle now in today's world. We can stretch ourselves out to the amazing potential by having the right kind of website and selling on the internet. I'll share with you that I'm basically a one-person show, probably like most of y'all are. That doesn't mean I can't do but one trick, but I'm a one person here full time. But I've got 3 or 4 other virtual assistants that do a lot of marketing and emailing and bookkeeping and accounting type stuff for me. And so I can stay here and I can do a lot of work with my computer marketing. And my little business can generate $1 million a year in sales. And that's pretty significant. One-man show, no inventory, selling directly from distributors. I know it can happen, but I have to. Here's what I have to do, though. I have to really pigeonhole and structure my time to know that I need to spend X number of hours a day on this computer that I'm working with you guys on, and to make the money that we need to do for Norm and I to pay our bills. I want y'all to have the same type of general idea that, okay, I'm going to be in business and I'm going to be doing that, and I need X number of appointments a day to bring in X amount of money, or I need to spend X number of hours on my computer doing marketing work with my customers, direct contact with my customers. Then you can get there. But when we find out how many hours a day you're working, you can find out how much money you need to make per hour. What is the most important tool in your toolbox if we are selling time for money? And that's what I do in this part of my business, in the webinar business. I'm selling time for money. What's the most important tool I have? And Annette, in your business, what is the most important tool that you'll have in a virtual business? It is how many appointments do you have set up in advance? So it is your calendar. Your calendar is the first thing you would look at in the morning, the last thing when you close down. How many appointments, how much time have I got coming at me in the future to do business, and the value of each one of those appointments. The more you have there, the more dates and things you've written in, guess what? That's cash flow. That's cash flow. And you can feel good about future cash flow. Now, you also want to see that as you're working with customers, we're always going to need to stay constant on our mind that I need to be spreading these appointments out to suit my business plan. Because if I'm not careful, everybody want to come on a Friday, or everybody want to come on a Monday. Excuse me, and that won't work. So your calendar is ultra important. Who is the most profitable customer that you can do business with when you're selling time for money? Let's say you're mowing grass. That's selling time for money. Let's say you're pressure washing or painting or window washing or different things like that. Your most profitable customer that you can find and recruit, and we're always after new customers, is the one that is right next door to the place you're working at today. The one that's right around the corner in the same neighborhood. One that will come in on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and you can count on that after you do your 11 o'clock appointment. The customer is available to suit your particular calendar needs. Those are the customers that are most profitable, because the ones that can suit your calendar needs means you're not going to have any free space in your booking, and you'll have constant cash flow. The ones that live nearby a place that you're already working, if you're traveling and going out serving people, the ones that live nearby mean that you are not going to have to travel a long way to your next appointment and eat up travel cost and time, which is eating up money. So as we're developing our calendar and our plan, we always want to keep those two factors in mind, because it can make the difference in doubling or tripling your profitability as you work into it. Now, I know, because I've been there and done that, when you're first getting started, you take what you can get. But the very minute you're taking what you can get and you're looking at your calendar, you put the mindset in that the next person that calls that I'm going to do business with, I'm going to try to see if they can come to see me on Thursday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Whereas I can visit them on Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning, because you've got your calendar in front of you and you know what your needs are and such as that. Now, the cool thing is we're going to determine how much money we need to charge those customers by the hour, because according to what your goals are. You might be charging one customer $400 for a job, and the next customer it's the same job, but for your budgetary reasons, you might be charging them $300 for the same job. That's okay, because I'm telling you, you need to make your business plan work. Selling time for money, I want you to have a business plan that's based on 4 days, 4 days a week. Any 4 days you want to choose, that's up to you. Most people take Monday through Thursday, and you leave Friday, Saturday, and Sunday vacant. You want your business plan to pay the bills in 4 days. So that gives you 1 day to fill in case of bad weather or equipment that breaks down or just something messed up and you just couldn't stay on schedule. It gives you 1 day to stay on schedule, extra day. It gives you another day to make repairs, look after personal business, go out and find new customers, develop new marketing strategies, and it gives you another day to go to church, be with your family, do the things that you need to do with your spouse. Yeah. So if you base your plan on 4 days, that gives you some flexibility. It's important to do that, even if it's a startup side hustle business for you. You want to have it structured to the point that you can grow it and know what you're doing. So 4 days a week, 4 weeks a month, so that's a 16-day month that you're going to make your business plan pay off. Next, we need to assign a dollar value to every time space or every appointment or every full day's work. Put a dollar value there to make that work. And that's going to help you determine how much per job you need to charge if you're selling time for money. Because we want the plan to see that business plan come through to us. So let's go back now. We're trying to sell $2,550, same plan, a week. And we're working 4 days a week. So I can do the math, and you can too, to see that we need to generate at least $640 a day. And if we're generating $640 a day, no matter in what type of increments we bring them in, as the slide shows you here, you'll be able to stay on plan to make that $2,550, and you end up with $1,000. So knowing that going in is your goal as you're working with customers and booking jobs, depending on the value of what they want you to do, or how many you need to do per day, you'll see that you put your week together, your appointments together, in such a method to end up with the cash flow that you got to have. So let me ask you this now. Last time you went to the dentist or you had a dentist appointment, do you remember that? And I'll guarantee you that before you went to that, after you made the appointment and before you got to the dentist chair, you were probably called on the telephone or sent 4 text messages. Maybe 3, maybe 2, but usually with me it's 4 with my dentist. So they want to make sure that you remember that appointment and what time you're supposed to be there. You know why? Because they are all about making sure you're in that chair to spend X amount of money on a certain day. And they have chairs where they clean teeth, and those chairs will have a lot of appointments, and the appointments don't generate but a small amount of money each. So they'll take that chair and keep rolling with it. And then there'll be other chairs where they do more expensive, profit-producing things to your mouth and your teeth, procedures. So they know next month, they've already set up the appointments probably for the next several weeks, and they know that each chair is going to generate a certain amount of money each week, and therefore the entire office will generate a certain amount of money each week, because they have to plan to do that. The dentist has got to get paid, and all the staff's got to get paid, and the rent and the utilities got to get paid. They know what that number is, and it's all divided up, and it comes up to what do we need to charge per appointment. Now, your numbers may be all over the map compared to that, but when it gets right down to it, selling time for money will always get back to this type of business plan. So the prices that you charge are more about what your goal is, your income goal, than it is what Charlie next door is charging for something, or what the market is saying for something. Sometimes people are going to be very high and you've seen this, some folks you got a quote from or you went to do business with, their plan was higher. That means they had a higher income goal. Excuse me. I've been working with a COVID cough now for about 4 weeks. So let me ask you to think a little bit now, do some a quiz. Here's the challenge. You want to make $1,200 a week after you pay your expenses. You want to make $1,200 a week. Part-time job. Your expenses to get this work done is $600 a week. You're going to be on the job 3 days. 3 days during the week, but 12 hours each day. My question to you is, knowing these are your limitations and knowing this is your goal, how much per hour do you need to charge to reach your income goal? How much per hour do you need to charge to reach your income goal? If y'all just want to plug something in chat there, if you're working on this, I'd be interested to see what different answers we get. You want to end up with $1,200? Your expenses are $600. You're working 3 days, 12 hours a day. How much per hour do you need to charge? Let's see, I don't see anything on chat yet. Y'all start plugging it in. Now, every person that's selling time for money needs a business plan. And every person selling time for money needs to know how to very quickly come up with an estimate of per hour what you're going to charge your customers, because they're going to ask you. Every person that's selling time for money needs to have that chart like we just looked at, for you to have an idea on if you're getting this amount of money from this particular customer, which day do you need to book them into, so that your cash flow plan will be better. Thank you guys for those that are giving me answers. So far we got 50, we got a 35. Okay. $1,200 I want to end up with in my pocket. I got $600 to pay out. I've got 3 days at 12 hours per day. How much per hour? Let's take a look. Well, here we go. So I need to earn $1,200. I need to add $600 for my expenses. That means my total charges to my customers need to be $1,800. I'm going to be working 36 hours this week, and I divide the $1,800 by $36, and $50 is the right answer. Congratulations, Latoya. Congratulations. That was a good answer. $50. You can do this too, using the simple way to go about coming up with how much money you need to charge per hour to stay inside your business plan is very important. Let's say that you have a business and you're hiring salesmen to go out and sell your products. You may be selling the product, but the salesman is going to be working time for money. So you don't need to have an understanding how this works, even if you personally aren't selling time for money, but you're hiring people based on that. Again, $1,800 less $600. What's left? $1,200. All right, let's move on now to start talking about selling products. What is the key factors in selling products to make sure we got the price that's right? Selling rule number 1 with products. Labor too if you're hiring people. But you cannot sell right, that's S-E-L-L. You can't sell at a good price if you do not buy right. You have to purchase items low enough to give you the room to add margin so that when you sell it, you end up with some extra money. That's business, right? It is, but it gets kind of complicated. I need to bring in 3 letters right now for you to think about, and those letters are fair market value. We need to buy below fair market value so we can sell above fair market value. Now, I'm sure that every one of you guys knows exactly what fair market value is. So but I think maybe there's one that does not. So we need to spend some time refreshing their memory. I know that y'all already know it, because you need to know it to the point that you can almost write it word for word what it is. But let's talk about another key here is, you have never sold products before? You can approach it by using my 3 times rule. You're going to be pretty safe if you charge 3 times more than something cost you when you start selling it. And why is that? Because that'll give you 1/3 of your money when it comes back to cover your wholesale cost. That'll give you another 1/3 of your money to cover your overhead, transportation, cost of doing business, telephone, insurances, things like that. And it'll give you another 1/3 to pay your taxes and end up with some profit. Now, after you set your price here and you come up with the number, then you're going to need to test that number in the marketplace and see if it's good with your potential customers, see what the competition's doing, determine if you can get your share of the market at that price. And you may have to make some adjustments, either up or down. I've seen it work both ways. Some items, the range on pricing is crazy. But you need to apply your marketing strategies and see where you need to price the item at, how it comes up with fair market value, how much money you're going to need to spend on it marketing. In other words, what are your overall costs going to be? And then can you price this in an advertised price tag to give you room to negotiate at a clearance price? So the 3 times rule is just a place to get started, a safe place to land to get started. There's always going to be some other things to do with that. What is fair market value? FMV. It is the price at which the property would exchange hands between a willing buyer and a willing seller, neither of them being under any pressure or compulsion to buy or sell, and both having good knowledge about this product or service and all the relevant facts that go along with it. This is the law. The U.S. Treasury laws. Every business plan knows this. Every government agency knows this. There's only one price in the world that is determined by the law. All other prices is determined by speculators and entrepreneurs like you and I, and shoppers, people buying and selling. But there's going to be one number that everybody's going to say, this is the value of this product, and we're going to call it the fair market value. For today's market, this is the fair market value of it. So important because, again, repeat with me, we need to buy below fair market value so we can sell above fair market value. Whether it's ingredients for your cookies and cakes, whether it's the lumber that you're buying to resell to someone for construction, whether it's products that you need to plan, that you're going to plan to resell. All these are very important. Fair market value, the price at which property will exchange hands between a buyer and a seller when neither one of them are under any pressure and they both understand. Now, where do you see fair market values all the time? Right, maybe coming right in your mailbox. Well, when you get tax notices from the county, if you in your state, in the county, your tax notice will have the value of your house and your home or your car or your trailer that you may have, and they've got a value there, a money value. And those values are determined by appraisers. Appraisers, that's who in this world determines fair market value, are appraisers. And you'll see those right there. And you may not agree with them, but in the long term, they're usually pretty much on the right. You can go plead a case to get them raised up or raised down, but generally they're going to be real close. So with different businesses, that's important. So let's look at the different types of values, because you need to know this to determine how you know approach pricing products. So when you're buying items, there's a lot of values that people put on things. So this is from the lowest price you can buy something at, which is usually salvage value at an absolute auction. It goes up from there to liquidation sales, and then just general below wholesale, and then wholesale, then dealer invoice, and then Just above dealer invoice is low dollar wholesale. That's where the dealer would sell it what he feels like his low dollar is and not make hardly any money at all on it. It's kind of break even. Excuse me. General wholesale prices, and then low dollar retail, and then fair market value. So below fair market value on an item, there's about 8 different other levels going down that you can purchase this item at a lower price. Depending on the market you're in and what you're buying and selling, you need to be a master of what the fair market values are of these items that you're dealing with. That's why I said earlier on, you have to stay in the game long enough to learn a lot of stuff. And this is critical in buying and selling. I'll give you some examples in a minute. Now, confidential values, that is to say, what are we don't keep to ourselves and not going to tell the public? We're not going to advertise this. We need to know when we buy something and we get ready to resell it, the lowest price down at the bottom will be our low dollar, as is where is, no frills, just take it or leave it type stuff. And then we don't have a little money and maybe sell it bare bones low price, and then we get to fair market value. Fair market value, we didn't want to sell below fair market value, but depending on where we bought it, we may have to. And then we get into the retail pricing, the MSRP, suggested retail pricing, general retail. And then we're going to talk about the tallest and the largest number will be our advertised sale price. The price that we advertise will be higher than any other numbers on this board. Because that advertised price, we don't have it up high enough to give us room to what? Discount a little bit, negotiate a little bit, bargain a little bit, and make a sale to bring the customer into the conversation. Now, above those numbers, we're going to look at retail pricing as we see in here, just as I said. These will be your highest numbers, and these will be advertised. We'll put these on our website, put them in the newspaper. We want people to see them because that's going to get their attention. So what does all this mean to you? Let's say that we're looking at a used car, and it's a car that over on one side of town at a used car dealership where they've washed it up and it looks really nice and cleaned it and maybe put some new windshield wipers on it and a set of tires, they're offering that car for $13,875. But on another side of town, there's an auction lot over there that you could go over there this afternoon and buy that same year model value car, generally with the same mileage on it. You might be able to buy that car for $4,000. That's right. It might need a new set of tires. It might need a little paint job. It might need this or that. But the fact is, you've got the room in it to go from $4,000 to $13,875, depending on your expertise and abilities, and the investment that you want to make and the risk that you want to make. And between those two numbers, there is a lot of room, as you see, with fair market value being at 11.5. Yeah. This is the retail world of buying and selling products. And in everything that we buy and sell, that I buy and I resell, and that you don't do, there is a lot of breaks in the game between one middleman, the next middleman, all the way down to the producer, to the manufacturer, to the fellow hauling it in, to brokers. There's a lot of places here to make money. Lots of places. And in what you're buying and selling, what you've already got your business started doing, I'm going to share with you right now, there are probably a lot of wrinkles in there where you might be able to expand your menu of services and products and start capturing a lot more profit, doing basically the same products you're doing now, but smarter and in a different method. This is the key to people that stay in business long enough to learn the ropes. This is how they make it happen, because they know there's all this room. And maybe I don't have an operation big enough or extra help, but I'm talking like I'm thinking about buying that $4,000 car so I can get 13.8 out of it. For me to buy that, I need a shop with some cleaning people, maybe some painters, I don't have to spend some money on it to get there. And right now, I'd rather just buy it for $4,000 and sell it for $6,000 and not do anything to it. And that's generally what used car dealers do. Or they would buy it never above fair market value. They might pay as much as $11,250 for it and plan to sell it for $13,000 or $13,800. You will have to determine where in this game that you're going to play. And I'll call it a game because it can be fun, but mainly it's buying and selling and taking risk. So that's in pricing. You have to be aware of where fair market value is even to get started. All right, let's move out of that market world and look at items to how to build on your product an advertised sale price. And doing that can be really, really critical. Now, AJ down in Florida, so glad to see you're back with us today. And in last night's webinar, you asked some really good questions, and one of them is how can I go about understanding the value and how this pricing is working? And how can I show the customer to excite them about this doing business? Well, let's look at this screen right here. I hope you all can see it well. It's representing an advertised sale tag. And let's say this is on a set of furniture. Furniture market, generally, those people have a lot of markup. They mark them up big time, several 100%. Just like folks in the jewelry business generally have a large markup with what they do. But we got some price tags here. Let's talk about them. $13,875. That is an important number, and if it stopped there, if that's all it said on that tag, that would be take it or leave it. Put the price there, don't say anything else. Customer comes in, he sees that, that's it. But there's a couple of extra words on here that make a difference. Includes delivery. Includes delivery. Now, generally you would put, within 50 miles or something like that, you put a limiting factor on that. And it says sale. So that means that it is $13,875, but I've got some, the seller has built in some stuff here to include delivery, and it's on sale, which means they probably need to move it. Those little extra words are messages to your potential customer that you'd like to talk about this thing and let's do some business on it. Bring it up to you. Just don't look at the tag and keep on walking. Let's do something. Over on the back of that tag, look what else we've done. We've done some other stuff over on the back of that tag. See what it is? Less 15%. How about that? Less 15% is there, which means that I can buy it for $11,799 today or tomorrow. I don't know. I would have been smarter if I'd have put a date on it, a termination date for that extra 15%. But it's 15% plus tax. The first tag didn't mention tax, but we all know that tax is going to be a factor. But this tag is important because it does this. It tells you buy it now, it needs a hook there, the look and the hook. AJ, this is where the look and the hook would pay because the look looks good, the 15% discount. But if on that tag I typed in expires December 20, that would be the hook. That means you need to do it now or while this product lasts, plus tax. The message to the potential buyer is, okay, this is hot. I really want to sell this for $11,799. I'm saving about $2,000 right off the top. Got to add the tax to it, and that will encourage the customer to say, you got a little room here. Maybe I can pay the $11,700, but I don't think I can pay that tax. Those words indicate to you they're ready to buy and it's time to negotiate and find common ground. Over on the other tag where it said includes delivery, that encourages the customer to say, look, I can do the $13,875, and I can come and pick it up. Can I save a little bit of money there? And of course they can. And you'll say, yeah, let's find a way to make this thing work. You can come and pick it up. I'll take off $100 or whatever it is you take off. If you want to go ahead and do some business today, we need to add the tax back to it. That's right. There's always the give and the take. Now, over on the last tag, which was the third tag that most people would look at and just think it was some type of inventory information, what that is the owner of the company giving his sales team some codes. And those codes are saying the LDR 11250 is saying that our bare bones low price here, retail price, is $11,250, but I've got it written in code. And then if someone absolutely is going to beat us down and not let us make any more money than we possibly can, we'll cash it out at $11,000, but there's not going to be any frills, no financing, no delivery, no assembly, no anything, but we can sell it for $11,000. You want to always empower your sales team and always empower yourself if you're like me and don't have a sales team. In other words, you want to have your fact sheets close by, like I do here on my desk, and I can show you, that's got all my pricing, all my cost margins that I can work with. You want to have those in such a way as when you're talking with the customer, you can negotiate and take them out of the market right then instead of having to wait or go get some information and come back. The more information you have at hand, the better position you are to negotiate and close the deal. So the advertised sale price, in whether you're selling fence posts or cows or cars or groceries, the advertised sale price here can have all types of messages in there to the customer that make an offer. Everything's negotiable. This price is under these circumstances, but if we change the circumstances, maybe we can change the price. The best move you'll ever make is to determine that, yes, I enjoy talking to my customers, and yes, I'm looking forward to negotiating and finding a deal. Are you better off for a customer to come in and see that take it or leave it price and just take it and walk on out, no conversation, no give and take, and you had it priced so low that you made just a little bit of money on it? Or if you had with this style of pricing, you negotiated a little bit, the customer was happy, he got a price he felt good about, y'all had a conversation, created a relationship, and he left with it, and the chances now are really good that they'll come back to see you and work out another deal. I think the latter is a better offer. And this is true in whether you're dealing face-to-face with your customers or whether you're dealing with them on the internet, working with your website or email, or doing virtual conversations. Doing what we're doing right now with customers is the coming thing, is the way that a lot of sales will be made with some big ticket items. Keeping options to the customers is what we're after, keeping it alive. Building up to the advertised price, and that is in the type of pricing strategy, this would be called cost plus. So let's think about the different other ways that you might determine what you're going to price your products at. What I just described to you with selling time for labor and selling products is what I do in my business and have done it for a number of years, and I feel comfortable with that, and I'm still in business. Other people approach things different ways, and I know that. But as we're working with the cost plus, let's talk about these different types of pricing levels that you want to consider putting a value at. Your net cost, what it costs you to get it to your business. Now let's talk about selling. The minimum amount that you're going to add to that cost, and we'll call that the bottom dollar cash sale. But you really need to make more money than that on it, so let's bump that up another 4 or 5% for a more reasonable low dollar selling price. And now let's even look at the where generally in the market a business needs to make to have an excellent margin. Put that price on it. And after you got them all up to that, then we need to add a little more for your advertised tag price. You know, there's some of you out there, it might be Lisa or Craig or Donna, that is saying, Steve, you're crazy as heck. All you've done here is price yourself out of the marketplace. Well, I understand that you might say that. And there's some people that might think that way, but it all depended on how low below fair market value did I start. And if I negotiated and got my purchase price down low enough, I could do all this and more, and do. So you can't sell right if you don't buy right. Now, I've got a little information here for you that's going to just make you smile. And that is, there are 3 types of buyers that's going to come to you as a business person and come to me. There's 3 types of buyers out here. There's the one who watches TV, and they see that Walmart ad, and they see that smiley face, and it's saying cheap, 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 cheap. And wherever they think they're going to get the cheapest deal, that's where they're going to go. They're all about that almighty dollar and stretching it out, and they're so proud of that. Cheap, 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 cheap. Those buyers are out there. And it probably, in different areas, there'll be a higher percentage of them, but generally it's about a third of the market. Don't care whether you make a penny or not, could care less if you stay in business another day or not. They're after buying that item cheap, 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 cheap. Okay? Do you want their business? You darn right you do. Now, there's a second set of buyers out there that they don't have a lot of extra money to spend, but they also realize that I can pay a little more for better value. I can pay a little more to a company I like. I can pay a little more for just knowing that I'm doing business in a small town with a small business, a local business. I know that I could probably drive around for hours and burn up a lot of gas and time and maybe find this deal at a little bit better price. That's kind of the middle of the road marketing people. They're going to let you make a reasonable margin. But if they feel like after they've done their research that maybe you should be discounting this a little bit, they're not going to hesitate asking you, can you come off this a little bit and give me a better price? Praise the Lord and thank God for these customers. They will let you make a little bit of money. Do you want their business? You darn right you do. And the third set of buyers are those people who will pay the advertised price, do not pay it, do not mind giving somebody that serves them a nice tip at a restaurant or even a salesperson sometime. There are folks that want to buy the most expensive stuff in the marketplace so they can say that I got the most expensive stuff in the marketplace. And there are those people who will pay the higher price because they are convinced, if they've done their research, that I can buy this for a whole lot less, but I know I'm getting a lot more quality here that's going to last me a long time. Therefore, I'm going to take advantage of what they're offering me here and go ahead and buy it. I don't take that advertised price. Do you want their business? Oh, yeah. Today, I went to Lowe's here in Dun-Irwin and ordered for Norma and I about $3,000 worth of kitchen cabinets and countertops. Our floor had gotten wet and fell away, and we've got a mess. So I had to go order them. I had to wait about 5 weeks for them to come in. And Lord have mercy, you talk about a range of pricing when you look at cabinets and countertops. I could have bought the same number of cabinets, the same square footage of counter space for half the amount of money I paid for it. Or I could have paid 4 times more than what I paid for it with the price ranges. what they managed to, so I paid their advertised price for that particular product, and they offer an incentive to go ahead and do it before the first of the year, an extra 15% discount. I didn't have to beg or borrow for that. That was in the deal. Now, my friends, they were able to do that because they had priced their stuff to begin with enough margin that they're still going to make their profit. You know they're going to make their profit. If Lowe's can do it, you and I can do it as well. So keep it in mind. We do want that cheap buyer. That's why we have got to get our prices down, and we do that by buying below fair market value. And then we build our average size sale prices up to that, with our lowest selling price to be that one that satisfied that cheap guy. But our highest one up there is still within margin, so that the person who don't mind paying a little bit more to do business with you can let you make a very good profit. Some business people just say, I'm just in one category. My price is this, take it or leave it. You see what you're missing out on now when you do that? So keep this in mind. Let's make it work for you. Now that deal with the furniture cost a dealer $8,000. He added in $450 for freight. His setup, generally put 5% in for general business expense. He added 6.5% for his advertising. And then he said, I want to make at least 15% on this deal. So my bare bones price, the lowest price I'm going to sell this at, is $11,000. But to get to that price, he covered all of his costs. He put some time in it and figured out what it was to get to that price. That's what I want you to do. Then from there, he came up with 3 more pricing levels: discounted, reasonable margin, general excellent margin, and advertised sale price. That was done with that particular furniture group, and I do that with every implement that I sell on my website. And if I can do it, you guys can do it too. So it's the customer's only option, if it's take it or leave it, is leave it or buy it. But if they don't have room to shop and talk, negotiate, leave it becomes a really good option, and they may come back to you. So there's different concepts and pricing strategies that we want to talk about. Price them too low, you don't make enough money to stay in business. Price it too high, you have trouble selling anything. Startup owners make a common mistake of pricing it so low because they feel like I need instant business, I need to bring it to come in. Big mistake, especially to get their first clients. However, I know, and I've been there, and sometimes you just want to do some business, and if you can cover your costs and say, hey, I've done a sale and I've got a customer, and it's going to make me feel a lot better. I'm not going to have any money to show for it, but I don't feel good and know we sold something. By golly, do it. Make the sale. Get some, at least you had a learning experience there, but you can't just keep doing that over and over and over. At some point in time, you've got to get back to your advertised sale price, giving you some margin, and you're working harder to get the deal. You'll get better at it, but you got to practice it. But you got to get started sometime in some way with some customer, and maybe giving that customer that extra good deal right down as your bare bones price is a way that you're establishing a raving fan customer, which is the best investment you can make. All this isn't black and white. There's a lot of different reasons that you might consider doing one thing or another. The most simple formula in pricing strategies, that's what we're going to talk about now, is what we've just done. Let's look at your bottom line and you plan up and go from there. That's your simple formula, which is basically cost plus pricing. Cost plus pricing does exactly what we've been talking about. You figure out what your unit cost, your freight, all those other factors, plug them in there, and then go from there. Always, before you settle on what you're going to start advertising at, you want to do a price check and see what your competitors are doing, because you don't want to get blown away. You want to be in the game. Doesn't mean you need to be cheaper than them. Matter of fact, I don't say it's better to be a little bit more than they are, provided you've got a good marketing campaign that lets people know. Let's talk about it. Next type is value-based pricing. Value-based pricing is saying, what is my T-shirt, the 3-pack worth, compared to a 10-pack that has some embroidery on it, or you've done some work to them. So sometimes you have to look at the product, what you paid for it, and how much value you've added to it with your crafting skills and your designer skills. And if your signature has a value, like with the Harvey fishing T-shirts that you've seen with the Marlins and all the pretty colors, if it's got the name Harvey on it, it's generally worth 20% more at the store because they sell their name, and that's important. And as you build a signature, you'll be able to build your price tag as well. I've had a chance through the years to build a couple of signatures on different items, and we were able to get more money when our competitors was basically selling the same thing, but they couldn't call it what we called it. I can always use the example like with John Deere tractors versus everything else. For a number of years, it's not quite that way right now, as bad as it was, but for years, just because it was painted green and had the name John Deere on it, people would pay 30% more for it. Kind of crazy. And we showed them what it was all about when I added Kubota on our line, and we started eating their cake with our same size tractors. But value-based pricing is something you may want to consider. You can look at your closest competitors and see what they're offering their pricing at and go from there. Value-based pricing sometimes can bring you in some customers if you look at your niche markets. Let's say that you're adding a value related to Lenoir County Hunting Club or Lenoir County Cotton Festival or certain kind of festival that you're doing down there, or you're making and selling souvenirs, and because the product in your store that you're selling is talking about a local event or a local place or historic event, that item would have a better value to it. One good reason and one real strong reason that people that run small gift shops in resort or resort travel, as Lenoir County is, different things to consider, because people will pay a bigger, very healthy price for the right souvenir that's representing a special event or vacation that they're on. Wholesale versus retail pricing. Wholesale pricing means you're buying a product to resell it. It's generally already been made and ready to sell. It may not be assembled, but it's made and ready to go to the buyer. It's not assembled because if it were assembled, the freight would be astronomical. And the only way it could be assembled is if you send it to a dealer that's going to put it together and then put it out on a display lot and resell it. What happened when that dealer, what happened when that dealer got it in and started assembling on this and painting it and tightening it up and greasing it and doing all this, spending time and money on it? The price on that product started going up. So if you're doing that type of stuff, you got to notice your invoice cost is just a part of your selling price strategy, because you got to figure out what extra you did to it. I'm fortunate that in my business, the customers buy something from me and I never see it. I have it directly shipped from the manufacturer or the vendor or the distributor, directly shipped right straight to the customer in the box. So that works out better. I'm able to offer them a lot better price and a lot very competitive. A lot of people doing what I'm doing. I got just plenty of competition, but it helps the customer save money and it helps me keep my inventory expenses at a minimum. Retail versus wholesale. That general margin can range between, like at the grocery store on some items, 2 or 3%. Through the parts that you buy at a parts store, 45%. The parts that you buy at a jewelry place, 80%. Jewelry as a whole, and I'm guessing at these numbers now, but 400%. Furniture, 400%. Impulse items that you see at the convenience market, those candies and such as that, 300%. So there's room to make a lot of money, but what you have to keep in mind is how much volume can you do and how many unit sales do you need to make to meet your business plan needs. And all that gets back to, if you're making a certain number of sales, what are those prices to give you the volume that you have to have? So we have to figure out what's the sale price. Tiered and volume pricing. Depending on the items that you're selling, some things that you can say, I'll sell you 1 to 100 for X amount of money, but if you buy 100 to 200, I can lower that price a little bit. Or if you buy from 200 to 500, I can lower it even more. Now, I do that with some of my parts like rivets and bolts and blades, sickle blades and things like that for parts. You might be able to do that with the things that you're selling as well. You might offer somebody a dozen, let's say you're baking some donuts or cookies, and I'll offer you a certain price if you buy 1 to 3 dozen. I'll give you a little bit of break if you buy from 4 to 6 dozen, and a major wholesale break if you buy more than 10 dozen at a time, and order them enough in advance. So lots of times this tier pricing can come into play to do something very important, and that is to help you create some big ticket items. And big ticket items generally give you enough margin that you can actually start saving a little money, putting some money aside. So whatever you're doing, think about what can you do in your business to create big ticket items, and this is one of the ways that you can do it using the tier pricing and volume strategy. Hourly pricing strategies, as we talked about earlier, need to be based on what you need per hour to meet your income goals. What you need to meet your income goals. Because there's some folks that will charge $100 an hour, and there's other folks that might be charging $35 an hour to do exactly the same work. And Ed, I'll mention this to you. I did a lot of shopping when I was replacing my bookkeeper position a few months ago. And I found out that in your world, I have seen bookkeepers that will offer pricing at $15 an hour. And right down the road, the next one down the road was $65 per hour. And there was one on even up the road a little bit more that was $125. And I couldn't see any difference in the value of what they were bringing to me. But did I get excited or concerned about that? I did not. Because I know, because of what we're talking about, that they were basing their prices on what they had to make to meet their income goal. And I wanted to tell that person that was offering to do the work for $15 an hour, you're either doing really sorry work or you are so underpriced it's incredible. I didn't do it because I was dealing with my own business and I would have been out of place. But if she had been my client, I'd have no reservation about saying that. She needed to drive down the road and find out what her competition was charging. Follow me? All right. Keystone pricing is a term that's been used in the retail world for a long, long time. And because it's called Keystone, I'm guessing it came out of New York or Philadelphia. But anyway, that is a term that retailers use to say, whatever I pay for it, I'm going to double it. That's just my rule of thumb. I'm going to double my cost on something. And they know their business well enough to know that that will keep them competitive in the market and make it really easy to put a price tag on it. But I don't tell you that if you do use Keystone pricing, fine. But you go back to your Keystone, you double your price, and then you add some to it to give you negotiating room. unless there's such a big margin in what you're selling that you don't have to do that. And if you're doubling, maybe that margin is already there. Project-based strategies. This is when you look at, I'm going to do a project for you, and it's going to take a certain amount of time for mine to get it done, and I need to give you an estimate on it. And therefore, you need to get back to using your skills on estimating how long it would do for you to do this, and coming up with a finished price, a turnkey price, people would call it. When you do that, you always should leave yourself some good reserve room there, because if they're just looking at the total make me happy price, that's going to be important. So my word to the wise here is that when you're doing this type of project-based pricing, let's say that this kitchen stuff I had coming in here, I could have said to my contractor, go over and sit down and give me an estimate on what this job's going to cost me. And some contractors come back and say, Steve, I'll do this for you for $4,500. That's the labor. Or they might say, Steve, I'll do this for you for $65 an hour, and I think it's probably going to take about 15 hours to get it done. Or they might say to me, I'll do this for my exact cost, figuring my labor at $65, at $50 an hour, plus my cost on materials, plus 10% or 15%. The one that's offering me that cost plus to 15 is taking no risk. He's going to get his money, but I don't know what it's going to cost me. I don't know what those materials are going to cost me yet. They can give me an estimate. So depending on the type of services that you're offering, one or more of those might apply to you as a good thing to do. The fellow that's working for me today, that's doing our project now, I've been working with him for 35 years. I have found them every time to be right on schedule. I asked him, are you going to charge me the same amount of labor as you have been doing in the past? And he said, yes, sir. I said, do you mind if I buy the materials? He said, no, sir. Now, a lot of people would say, no, I want to buy the materials because I need to add some margin on that. But I know that my contractor doesn't do that, but what I do, not encourage him, but let him know I expect him to, is he's charging me time and expense for the transportation to go get the materials, shop for them, and bring them back, to go to the trash pile, to take the trash out of here. He has to charge me for that extra stuff because I'm not paying for anything but his labor rate on the job unless you have that conversation. And that's the place that can get you in trouble when you're pricing if you're a contractor. You want to remember that you've got a cost involved in going and getting those parts and that material. And if you're buying them and you're tying up your money in it until your customer pays you for a long time, there's a cost involved there as well. Pay what you want pricing is also known as donation-based pricing. It's a little bit more than having the honor bucket outside, but some folks will use a pricing strategy, especially fundraisers, invite you to a dinner, invite you to come and get this and say, come and join us here. Come and join us here and just pay what you think is a reasonable price. Now, you got to know your clientele to do this, but sometimes it's really effective, especially for fundraising purposes. Sometimes we would say, come on in, bring you and your wife, come and join us. We'll feed you a good meal and provide entertainment for $65, which is basically our bare bones cost, and look forward to you making a generous contribution. Nothing wrong with that at all. Cover your costs with the basic needs, but let them know that you're really looking for a lot of help for this particular fundraiser that you're working for. Pay what you want pricing. Luxury pricing. Some people in business want to be the highest person on the market. They want people to buy from them because that group of customers I talked about earlier, they are all about buying the big bucks. Go to Starbucks, Louis Vuitton handbags, Mercedes cars, and Rolex watches. Some folks want to buy the most expensive stuff on the market. So what's our lesson there? If you want to be a dealer or a representative of a manufacturer, you want to get the manufacturers that have the best reputations that they have in making money. The higher the prices, if they've been successful through the years, you know what that means? It's going to help you cut down on your marketing price because they've already established themselves in the market as the best and worth the most money. And with that, you're going to have a lot of flexibility with your margins. Okay, Keystone, we've already talked about. MSRP, Manufacturer Suggested Retail Price. You'll see this in your automobile, in your pickup trucks, in your ATVs and motorcycle ads. You'll see this on some of your appliance ads on TV and such as that on the internet. MSRP is where the manufacturer suggests what the retail price ought to be. What they are wanting to do, and they do it, is establish a fixed price on a given product. That tends to keep independent dealers from slashing the prices way down or from raising the price real high. During COVID and during last year, when things got hard to get, some dealers took MSRP on automobiles and jacked them way up higher than that. Some didn't. Excuse me, please. But MSRP, if you are a dealer and you can use this, as I do in what I sell, that doesn't mean that you need to follow their guidelines unless they've got a dealer written agreement that says that this is all you can do with it. Because I would take MSRP, what the manufacturer said the list price ought to be, and then I would add freight, and I would add assembly, and I would add prep, and I would add delivery. So I could have an item that had an MSRP of $15,000, but my advertised sale price might be $22,000. And because I needed to build in plenty of room to negotiate. And that's the way you go about it. Multiple pricing. Again, getting back to a larger big ticket item, offering a discount and a better price. If somebody bundles a package, gets a number of things or a variety of things in one package is bought at one time, that's called bundling. And it's an excellent way for you to have larger deposits and sell more volume and help your customers find everything they want at your store. The key factor here is you need to have the additional profit center items that are related to what the customer buys, so when they buy an item, you're able to say, and by the way, we've also got this item that goes with that, and by the way, we've got this other item. So if you have forecast the bundling potential with these profit centers, you're able to put together the packages and do some big deals and really take some of your competitors right out of the market. Very effective way of getting it up with more money and knocking your competitors down. Discount prices, everybody wants a discount, a low price, a coupon or a rebate or all these things, and we've talked about it, and I don't say to you right now a very bold statement. I don't want you to give a single discount, not a one. But Steve, you discount all the time, everybody else does. But I said, I don't want you to give a single discount, but the rest of the story is that you didn't plan to give. Discounting is definitely a part of marketing and getting the people's attention and to help you motivate people to buy. But discounting will put you out of business if you start discounting from your bottom line price. That's why we have to be able to discount. We have to be able to negotiate, but we need to have our price up high enough that gives us the room to do it. I've already told you, you don't have some cheap people that's going to bury you right down to that bottom line, and you need to be ready to talk to them if that's what you're dealing with. But by having these extra prices and margins in there for you, you're going to be surprised with those folks that are coming, and they will pay it, and that'll be the end of the story. And you will appreciate them a whole lot. Discounting, only when you plan to do it. What is a loss leader? A loss leader is something that you see a company advertising a product that they're selling that seems to be really a low price, and they may even call it a loss leader. Well, this really good price on this product is not saying that they're planning on leaving the country and losing money. No, what the real meaning of that is that they're not going to make the normal profit on that they normally need to make. But we still call it a loss leader. That encourages people to come on in and buy this thing. Usually a loss leader type item is one that people will come in, and while they're there, will see your other profit centers that are related to this, and they will buy the loss leader plus other items. Hence a good marketing strategy, because after it's all done, if you sold 2 or 3 other items, you've ended up with some pretty good profit margins, even though on one item you didn't make much money, but it certainly felt good to make it on what the other items they bought. Now you may have noticed in the chat over here, early on when I was signing on, I was asking y'all some questions about the different values that people might pay up in the top here. I'm going to repost that in case you hadn't seen it. So let me just do that. Look over at your chat board. I'm getting ready to make an entry. So in chat, I'm asking you, generally in pricing, if you're the pricing boss at your store, are you better off pricing your product at $96.32 or at $99.99? Are you better off pricing your product at $102.78 or at $99.99? How about $19,069 or $19,999 or $89.99 or $249 a month? As we look at prices, as we go through a store that's offering a lot of stuff, we're going to see a lot of pricing strategies for those that are important. This is where the salad bar concept comes in. In the same store, the salad bar represents the different strategies of ways to price things. Because people, shoppers, some people are turned on by one pricing strategy, they love it, it makes them want to buy, and the next person, it doesn't affect them at all, but they have their strategy that makes a big difference to them. Pretty darn amazing. So, I didn't think it was true, but using the 99-cent stuff is big. People will purchase the items from you if it's just under $100. And if it's just over 100, no, because they have mental concepts and budgeting in their mind, and there's a limit. We've all got limits with our budgets. And if you get right up to that line, you're going to offer them more value, a more expensive product, but just under their budget, and there's something that feels good about that. It's like at the salad bar, oh man, let me get some of this. I'm getting a good deal. And maybe they're coming into your store or coming into the market saying, I only have $200 a month that I can spend. Whether it's cost $6,000 or $10,000, I can buy it if I can get it and keep it for under $200 a month. So a $195 per month or a $199.99 per month is really attractive to that person. Psychological pricing. As you look at the items that you're offering, remember this because it's important the way you do it. So $96.32 or $99.99? $99.99. You'll get more business at $99.99 than you will at $96.32. $102.78 or $99.99. Same thing. Get down below 100. If you're at 102, you're going to turn some people off. $89.99 or $249 a month, the monthly price. If you're selling something that people will probably be financing, you want to go ahead and figure out what those monthly payments are going to be. If you'll watch your TV screens, you'll see that that's what all your car dealers are doing. Used and new, that per month thing is the big deal. Everybody, a lot of us are working on a budget, and we have to look at our monthly cost. Now, I'm just not saying this because I think it's a good idea for you to do it, but this is a copy of a web page, one of my web pages right off my website, and you'll see more nines on my pricing than any other number. I know it makes a difference. I have customers that call me up, and you know, you would think that farmers that are real tight and conservative would kind of frown at this as a gimmick, but they don't. The customer called me up and say, "Steve, I'm interested in that $95.99 deal." Now, I did have a customer today from Colorado that called me, and he was talking about that particular deal there, and he says, "I'm interested in that $9,600 deal." That's all right, because he saw the $95.99. But most people feel good about that and without a negative. When I first started doing this in my own mind, I felt like, because someone had recommended it too in a class, I thought I was using a gimmick and just a sales type thing that people would frown on, but never. So all through my website right now, all of our pricing, we use this strategy because I know that people will buy it and take it and go for it. So let's say you got an item that you need to sell it for right at $200. Where do you need to put the price tag? Which one of these prices would Steve use if I had to get as close to $200 and hope to sell it? Yep, it'd be the $199.95. That's getting me right where I want to be. Below competition, you got a tough competitor who's eating up market share. He's getting far too much of your business, and you're just tired of it, and you're ready to say, "I'm going to take him on head on." So do it. You go after a particular item, and you put the price tag on it, and you say that this is the best price in town, any color. Compare prices, go shopping, and price that thing out. So here's what you want to do. The competition may be using what's called a bait and switch strategy, which is perfectly okay. It's done all the time, where they may be advertising a product that doesn't have any frills or extras on it. You need to know exactly what you're up against before you match them and lower the price on it, because there can always be a surprise in there. Be careful with that. Make sure that you hadn't offered more product that costs you a lot more. It's going to really make you lose some money here if you're not careful. Anchor pricing is when you show the normal price and then you use the word sale or save. Save. Man, that makes people so happy sometimes. If I can save some money. And my wife likes to go and come back and tell me how much money she saved me today. Well, my question is always, but how much did you spend? How much money less in savings do we have when you're telling me you saved something? Well, I don't say that often because she'll get mad at me and threaten to beat me up. But at any rate, save is a big deal. If you go to most grocery stores now, lots of other retailers, Belk's department stores and such as that, those clerks are trained. People at Lowe's today did this for me. Those people are trained. After you ring up your ticket, they're going to look at it and say, "Look here, you saved $349 today." Pointing it right out to you, right here on this ticket where I went and bought those cabinets. Right on the ticket itself, it says down here, "You saved $346. Write it on the ticket. Why do they want to do that? They want you to think that you got more money now because you did business with them. And if you want to, if you had enough to buy it at the original price, you've got $300 and some more you can spend with them. Yeah, it's an incentive to spend more. or at least to come back, because you can always save when you're coming here. That's a good strategy. And if you're in the type of business and clientele that you can tell them that, that is a good investment of time to build your customer base. Skimming. Skimming is a important thing that we see people do, and that is they charge the highest price they can for a product as long as they can do it. The market will stand it, and they're in a position to take in the money and want it, all of it they can get. And who's the best advantage of people like that? It's Apple. It's the people that are selling the new cell phones or new radios or new technologies. When it first comes out, it might be worth $2,000, but every 6 months it's going to drop down until it gets right back to where prices are today. That's the way to do it. So what do we learn from that? Well, if we're planning on buying that, we might want to wait a few months and save a lot of money there. But the fad is, if you're on the cutting edge with fashion and such as that, people will pay those big bucks so they can simply say, look what I got. And that is living proof that folks out there, plenty of folks out there, will pay the big dollars and don't mind saying they did it, because it did cost a lot of money. So that's good evidence that you can price your stuff on up and there will be buyers for it. Hey, we've been saying this. What is it? Take it or leave it? Nah, we don't want to go there. Forecast marketing. Your pricing has everything to do with, are you right for the season? Have you forecast when you're going to be in the market? We talk about people making jokes about, I couldn't sell a snowball in the desert, you know, or I couldn't give water away to folks on the ocean. The key is you need to have the right product at the right price at the right time. And seasonal awareness is a big, big deal, because whatever your price is, it's going to be positively effective if you got the product for the right season. So as you're looking at your business now and planning your strategies, there are everyday things that come in and out. But during the spring, other items will be. So right now we're in December. April is only 4 months away. And if you're in the market of selling things to homeowners and decor or people that use yard art, right now is when you need to be thinking about, what do I need to have ready to sell in April and May? So that'll give you time to buy it at the best price, below fair market value, get it in, get it price tags, and get it out ready to sell in March, so that when the April season hits, you'll be on the driving line. Holidays are really important. The lawn and garden season is a big opportunity to sell lots of stuff. The July the 4th season can bring in a lot of items that maybe you can sell. Autumn, of course, we've all seen our autumn harvest stuff and pumpkins and so forth at Halloween. Our season now for Christmas is here and is wide open, no doubt about it. There are stores that offer you seasonal items for you to resell. I can certainly put you in touch with them. That strictly just sell you wholesale items that you can resell on your website or otherwise. Now, of course, if you buy in bulk, you get some really good pricing and can sell a lot more. So one of my favorite places that I've been in the last several years is Maggie Valley, North Carolina, over close to Waynesville, between Waynesville and Cherokee. And those apple sheds over there, those people with these sheds along the Maggie Valley stretch there, they are masters at merchandising seasonal items. So I went over and took some pictures of different items that they took. Just really good. And we can do a lot more of this in Eastern North Carolina. Only a few folks are doing this, and I think there's a great market for it. They're pushing their apples over there, but at our stands, we got our stuff to push too. And the entrepreneur that's got a stand that can bring in mountain apples over here this time of year would, I feel like, would have a tremendous business and do a good job if it's marketed properly. But they use all these yard art and decor items for the different seasons. And let me encourage you to give that some consideration. I've got the contact information where you can buy the stuff. Most of these items have a 3 times markup on them, some more, but most are in the neighborhood of 300%. So there's good margins there. Took these pictures so I could show y'all. So I went to one of them and got the actual model number off the back of it, and then came back to the manufacturer and talked with them and asked them how much these items would cost. So this item here was on sale for $43.99, and you can buy it from the manufacturer for $21.60. So that was they doubled the price on that one. That would be called Keystone pricing, right? That particular vendor was doing that. So consider how you can do a better job with seasonal marketing, because it is real, not too hard to learn, and you take very few risks, provided you don't get too much involved with perishable items. Now, how are we going to go out beating the competition? I do like to win a deal. I do hate to lose a deal, and I know that y'all feel the same way. So let's just be aware of it and proud of the fact that we are in the competition game, and we hold it within ourselves to make it happen. Doesn't mean we're winners or losers, but it means whether or not we're going to come out on top enough to stay in business. Competition's everywhere, and it rages with us all the time. But the biggest, most competition we have is within ourselves, and that's the good news, my friend. Right here in my office are the distractions that keep me from selling more stuff. And I got a feeling it's the same way with you. So how do we fight those distractions? We need to set the right priorities so that we bring the important stuff to our desk every day. And while we're doing it, we maintain high standards. Those two factors will help us a lot sell more stuff at a better price, because we have a better time to concentrate on it, and we have got it out there at the right season. We need to compete, and we need to be conscious about the fact that you're in competition. Some of our folks getting ready to start their business, and I think the competition in getting this business working is about between me and my customer. But it's not that. The competition is between you and your distractions, and you and the other people that want to get your customer. It's all part of the mix. The distractions are going to be in there. And we are at a state of war, of rivalry with our distractions all the time. I know that I am. I had a full agenda for this entire week, and then my plumbing issues came involved and just threw my plan all to pieces. So I decided that I'll be working all weekend to be where I need to be on Monday. That's what we have to do as entrepreneurs, to stay on top of our games. Let's find out that competition. Let's see if we can make our presentations a work of art. Are we willing to fight for the deal, to go for it, to make it work? Our basic goal is to have happy customers. Our basic goal is to have happy customers that want to come back and do business with us time after time again. What are you doing to make sure that you're making your customers more happy? Are you going now to determine who the best customers for you to aim advertising at? We do this with targeting advertising so that we don't waste our money. So that this money that we're having a hard time making, let's not waste it. Let's make sure that we've got it out there to do the job. Used to saying a lot, we can't be all things to all people. However, we must be everything to some people, and they will become your Raven Fan customers. So are you doing what it takes to create your Raven Fan customers? A good way to have more money, to make your prices more attractive, to add value to it, is the word branding. Branding, make your brand, make your name, make your reputation, your legacy, give you the ability to sell more products at a higher margin. And you can definitely do that. And old Kenny Rogers does the song, and I got to say it to you. We have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And it's very true in entrepreneurship. Sometimes we just have to say, I made a mistake with this product line and I need to get out of it and get me something that is making money. Be willing to change your business plan, to be flexible in it, to move on to things that you can indeed make more money, that maybe we need to reduce expenses, but don't reduce your marketing, but make sure you got something that you can market that people will come on in and start buying from you. Our competition, up to bottom, I don't care where they are, we need to find out their weaknesses and their anxieties and beat them at their own game. We're going to outwork them, thank them. We're going to do better guerrilla marketing than they do. And we're going to outlast our competitors. We're going to be in business longer than they are. Determined. Got the endurance to see this thing through. And when you do that, you'll be learning new things every day to help it make it a lot easier. I will say to you that we want all the business that we can get, but I'll say to you very plainly, you don't want all the business. You do not want all the business, because when you get it all, you don't get all the bad business. So there's some people out there that will screw you. There's some people out there that are determined, they're going to complain enough that make you give them a refund. There are some people out there that you can never satisfy. It is a very small group, but I'm giving you fair warning. When you get a gut feeling that this person is setting you up to take advantage of you, move on. Say, look here, let me be friends with you, but why don't you give your business to someone else? Those folks are out there, so be careful. Depending on different businesses you're in, it don't take but one bad deal to wipe out the profit from 100 good deals. So we have to keep our guard up about things like that. My dad used to say to me, Steve, when you go out there and set the woods on fire, I used to use that term when I went out there and set the woods on fire, because I was getting deals and closing deals and making, bringing in money and deposits from everywhere I went that day. I'd say, I set the woods on fire today, Dad. And he said, well, you got to be careful doing that, because when you set the woods on fire, your ass is the first one to get burned. And it got burned a number of times before I learned how important that lesson was, and that's why I share it with you right now. It won't take but one bad deal next year to wipe away all your good ones. So let it be known that Steve gave you a warning, okay? Stay on your toes. Search for the new products and opportunities in the marketplace. Like the distractions, set the priorities, keep the standards up, and be the best person you can be, and your business will really be good for it. Down around New Bern and the Neuse River and Kinston and all that stuff, there's been a lot of history down there in ships and rams and such as that. And we like to use the term in eastern North Carolina about has your ship come in yet? Old folks will say that, oh, my ship hasn't come in yet. Well, let me tell you, as an entrepreneur coach, I don't tell you, if your ship hasn't come in, then you go on out to the job and dive in and swim out to it. Because sometimes we have to get wet to make things happen, and we have to work hard. And so find your ship and dive out to it, swim out to it, and make things better. I hope that God blesses you this holiday season and your family, and you can stay well. And our prayers go out to anyone who's sick or discouraged, and I hope that you'll be lifted up with your faith. Look to the faith. It can make a difference. Charge your batteries. Ask someone, let's talk. Let's talk about something besides business. Let's get our mind off of it, but then come back and restructure and make things happen. I want things to go well for you. I appreciate you being with me this afternoon. We've had a good crowd all afternoon. I think that Greg is probably still with us, so I'll give it back to you to close us out, Greg, if you'd like to, and we'll leave the mics on and answer any questions people have.
Well, Steve, it's funny that you ended with the ship and the boat, because Booker T. Washington had a quote where he said, cast down your buckets where you are. And that was in reference to a group of people who had been shipwrecked, and they were wandering and they were dying of thirst, floating out in the ocean in the darkness. And it turned out that they had no water, so they were dying of thirst, but they couldn't drink the ocean water because it's salty.
Right.
And they heard a voice in the darkness, a little light, and kept telling them, cast down your buckets where you are. Cast down your buckets where you are. And it turned out that their boat had drifted from the salt water of the ocean into the fresh water of the Sound, and they didn't even know it. So sometimes you don't even know that the opportunity is there. But when it is there, when it does present itself, you have to strike when the iron's hot. That's the time to cast down your bucket and reap the rewards. Everything you said today, Steve, was on point, and I think everybody here would agree with me. There's so much involved with the selling aspect of a business. And everything that you sell, your product, your service, and yourself. Again, thank you, Steve. Thank you all for joining in. Please reply to the email that I sent to you asking for your comments. We had a couple of people that missed our session this evening. We will be bringing Steve back with this probably sometime the next semester or two. We got a big demand for it, so we'll probably bring him back if you missed anything. I sent everybody out the handouts from the session, so check your emails on that. And on that note, I'll close up. If anybody has any questions or comments, Steve, send me that report, and I will send you an MOA for your signature in return.
Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you for hosting these events. We appreciate it a lot. I'd love to hear from all of you if you have any comments to make or questions to ask. AJ, let me ask you if you received the email that I sent to you earlier today. You may be away from his screen. All right, we see lots of other people there. Annette, I talked about you a lot today, trying to help boost that business.
We appreciate that, Steve. Good training as always. Enjoy it every time.
Thank you so much. Are you at work or at home now?
I'm actually home now.
Good for you.
I'm supposed to be at work, but I'm not.
I understand. We do what we got to do, don't we?
Absolutely.
All right. Good. Donna, so glad you were able to join us today. Thank you for being with us this afternoon as well. And any other comments from anyone? Candice, thank you for your opening remarks. And Latoya. All right. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay warm and move into the holiday seasons and just enjoy the joy of it. I hope I'll see y'all in January when we kick off another round of Academy classes and try to help us all sell more product and have more customers with less stress. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless you.
Take care. God bless.